All right, welcome everyone to my talk about Odoo for startups. I would like to start with a question. Have you ever dreamed of founding your own company or even a brewery, taking the one in a lifetime an opportunity to found your own business? If you can answer this question with yes, I think this talk might be something for you. To begin with, if you have any questions, feel free to use this pad. I will show the QR code later on after the talk again. All right. My name is Andreas. I'm wearing two hats today at the OXP. For this talk, it's the hat of a co-founder of a Stadtwächter Brewery Aarau AG, which is a small startup in Switzerland. At the same time, I'm working for Camp to Camp as a business consultant and a business analyst, mainly focused on the Swiss German-speaking market with major topics of supply chain management, logistics, and manufacturing. The topics of the talk, I would like to give you a bit of a start with the company itself, what scope we were looking at when we first started using Odoo or finding the solution we needed to run our company, the solution we actually implemented in the end, and then I would like to share a couple of key learnings, not like the super consulting instructions, but more like base to ground learnings we had during our journey, and in the end, of course, the Q&A section. The company Stadtwächter was founded in 2018. That was way young when we were a little bit younger, a little bit less gray hair as today. We started from scratch, so we started from 0 liters of beer up to 800 hectoliters in just 5 years' time, and we're still growing. Next year, we're aiming for 1,000 hectoliters for the first time. We currently employ 2.5 full-time equivalents, together with 9 founders who are working part-time for this project, and we have a group of around 25 helpers, which we coordinate, which help us in manufacturing, sales, and events. We started with a small crowdfunding campaign, and later on in 2021, we were able to grow our number of shareholders, and we now have a total of 500 people who invested in our company and who are trusting in what we are doing and achieving. We usually have around 5 standard beers in our assortment. We also have seasonalities which change, as well as brewmaster editions, which are more interesting types of beers and also give the brewmaster a bit of freedom to improvise and try new things, which makes us interesting. And we also do brand collaborations, for example, with the World Wildlife Fund. We have a beer where they are collecting money to re-establish salmon in the local river. When we started with our Odoo journey, we started with Odoo version 10 Community Edition, later on moved on to Enterprise Edition 14, and recently in October we finished the migration to 16 and are happy Odoo 16 users now. On the right-hand side, the pictures, this was one of our last meetings before we actually founded the company, and in the beginning it was all handcrafted. This was our manufacturing room in the middle before we transformed it into a food-safe, real-life brewery. And on the bottom image, you see how this all looked like in the end. Everything crammed together on a 40 square meter hall where we manufactured. We had the tanks for storing the beer and also the tap room and sales point of sales installment, all in the same room. Meanwhile, everything looks a little bit different. We moved to a new location in 2021, which is now 150 square meters for manufacturing only. We have a bottling machine which can handle up to 1,000 bottles per hour. Beforehand, we did everything manually, which took a lot of time, of course. Then in the middle, you see how the manufacturing hall looks like when we are having events. We're decorating and can show people around in the brewery. On the bottom, you see how we represent our brand. The main beers are tightly not to our city or with city's history, but we also have like this brand collaboration, different styles of beers which we are manufacturing. On the right-hand side, another addition which came with this growth was that we have our own event hall with up to 100 guests where we can have our own events or rent it out to other people who would like to have an event in our location, together with a small beer garden in front of this event hall. So what was the scope of this project in the beginning? I was actually looking for an accounting solution, not necessarily an ERP, but we already knew that we need to manage sales, because if you don't sell, if you don't track your sales, you're screwed, right? We also knew that handling beverages in bottles is not that easy, so we needed to track inventory to know which kinds of beers are on stock, which ones need to be manufactured next, and so on and so on. Then another thing was that all of our 9 founders worked in their spare time, so they needed to work remotely. So the solution needed to be a cloud solution and not a dedicated installation. We needed complete financial control. As a startup, you're on a tight budget, so you always need to know how your figures look like and where you stand, otherwise you won't last very long. Then my background is with companies with thousands of employees, working with huge ERPs, which are then cluttered with other solutions for CRM, for WMS, and we definitely knew that we didn't want to go that route from the beginning. Not to like start with spreadsheets and a CRM solution and then in the end have to bring everything back together. So the ideal solution would have been one system to rule it all. The total IT budget at that time was quite small, with 2,500 Swiss francs, including all the hardware. So we knew that we had to do as much as possibly on our own. I couldn't just call Camp to Camp and ask them to implement that for me, so I had to do it on my own. Another interesting fact is that we are selling business to business as well as business to customers, with everything which accompanies this situation, VAT included, VAT excluded, everything like that. And we have many sales channels. From the beginning, we had pickup, delivery, point of sales, as well as external events which we needed to manage. And later on, we also implemented an e-shop quickly. We have a rental service where people can rent out our gear to host their own beer party at home, for example, or for festivals. And we have the event hall now, which we also need to manage together as a sales channel. So what did we end up with? I said I was looking for an accounting solution. I looked around on the market for Swiss accounting software, and I found a lot of old, outdated software which was not cloud ready yet, or I found solutions which had a lot of license costs and only did accounting. And somehow I remembered there was this software called OpenERP. I had it running once, but I couldn't find it anymore and figured out it's now called Odoo. And when I was looking more into it, I found everything we needed: accounting, sales, logistics, as well as a dashboard to keep track of our sales. And additionally, we went for a Nextcloud to host all the documents and images. But hey, that was like in heaven. When I was looking at what Odoo was offering, they offered everything else that we needed as well. We knew that we needed a point of sale solution. We needed something to track the customer contact, so CRM. We needed to send email newsletters to our customers, so mass mailing was also readily available, as well as a complete website solution, something which otherwise we would have had to implement separately and later on maintain everything on separate servers. So everything you see here readily available, so we went in for it all. Additionally, we installed 80 third-party modules. So these are, some of them were just adding features which were not present in Odoo 10 at the moment, at this point of time, like gift card management. Others were to improve the daily usage, usability, all these little knickknacks you sometimes see when you click somewhere and not the thing is happening which you would expect. We solved that with these third-party modules. Later on, when we went for Odoo 14, we extended the use of standard apps, for example, the rental, for the rental gear, or the planning to plan all our helpers, so they can now subscribe to their own shifts when they want to take over a sales shift or when they want to help us manufacture. We also implemented documents to streamline the billing cycle, so we can just receive invoices through emails, create bills and vendor bills and pay them. We also use now purchase for our components or for the ingredients and manufacture to manufacture the beer itself. At the same time, we were able to halve the number of third-party modules from 80 to 40, which shows that a lot was happening in the meantime. A lot of features were implemented in Odoo standard, and this helped a lot for maintaining this solution. And when we went to the Odoo 16 migration, we were again able to halve the amount of external modules which we needed, and are now, of course, using gift cards as it is fully implemented in Odoo standard. Coming to the learnings, I said it's more like a 101 on how to start a small business and not a lecture in consulting. But one thing which was pretty apparent from the beginning is that you have real life advantages with an integrated mobile cloud solutions. Today, our salesperson can visit a customer on site in his restaurant or in his beer shop or drinks shop, and can create quotations on the fly, create orders on the fly. You can negotiate prices. You have a view on how much you have on stock. You don't have to overpromise something or have to get back, rework everything and send it out again. You can almost close the deal usually on site. At the same time, everybody who wants to can work remote or off hours, which is the case if you're running a startup on the side. We also have real-time KPIs and reports available at all times. This is especially helpful if you can show everybody the recent development, or you have an event going on, and after the event you immediately know, was it a successful endeavor? Should you repeat it? What should you change? And how can you improve in the future? And for me, fixing user problems remote is a big plus, because otherwise, if you always have to go on site to meet people and to see the system, it's a big pain. That's also a great advantage. Manage change properly no matter what. With my background, as I already said, thousands of people, everybody complaining about their ERP solution all day long, but still using it every day. Change management is natural. But here, with a startup, with an ERP which was so easy usable, which was so flexible, I thought that would be a no-brainer. But I had to learn that not everybody shares the love for modern ERPs or for process. So, and not everybody is used to be guided by an IT system every day in the daily usage. So even if you start small or you have a young, small team, don't forget the change management, something which I had to learn the hard way in the beginning. Also, don't expect everybody to adopt workflows quickly. We were young, but being Generation Z doesn't automatically mean that you embrace new process, that you embrace working with IT all day long. So also here, don't neglect the change management. Start smaller. If you can, start with one app, a core app, but not too complex, and grow from there. In our case, we didn't have this opportunity since we didn't have an alternative at the time. We needed to implement everything from scratch. But if you can, grow it and grow together with Odoo and with your users. Also, an 80% fleshed out process is more than enough. You don't have to implement the whole flow with every detail right from the beginning. Can you give you an example? In the food industry, everything is lot tracked, so everything needs to be serialized from the components through manufacturing to sales. We quickly realized, especially in Odoo 10, it was much improved in future versions, that it was very cumbersome for people to learn to use Odoo if you always have to scan these damn lot numbers when receiving the goods, when moving them around in the warehouse, and even when selling them at the point of sale. If you always have to scan the lot number of your beer bottle, it's not working, right? So keep it simple, learn how good your process works, and improve from there. Lead the change by example. As I said, people didn't embrace the process right in the beginning, but if you always fill in these damn contact informations from a new prospect with email address, telephone number, and the address, users can learn and experience what it means to be quickly able to create a sales order, to create the bill, to deliver to this guy without having to backtrack, to call the colleagues, can you please give me the email address? And if you lead by showing this, by promoting this kind of work, people usually adapt workflows more quickly and exactly how you want them, and not like free flow where you don't follow the process. Also provide access to KPIs and live data, reports if you can, for all the people who need to access it. Nowadays, with the new dashboard solutions, this became even easier than in the past. So if you have the opportunity to show somebody live data, you don't have to spend hours to create reports before showing them to your colleagues. It's definitely a huge plus, and also shows the people why it is so important to work precisely and to don't mitigate steps in the process. Number 5, that's a hard one, find the right balance in terms of complexity. On one hand, keep it simple. You have to accept some limitations of the system. You have to do some manual clicks sometimes, or something doesn't immediately translate from one data model into the other. So if you can accept that, it makes your work a lot easier to migrate to the next version and to keep your process simple. On the other hand, also don't fear to improve and tailor your system to the needs of your process. If it fits the process, if you serve your process, look into what's available. If you have the opportunity to host your instance on Odoo SH or on-premise, you have access to 1,000 or more than 1,000 community modules which help you improve your specific process. Look into that, use it. But at the same time, always keep in mind the next migration is coming, especially if you have to migrate at least every 2 or 3 years. And the key word is technical depth. If you install many third-party modules, you're responsible to have them ready for your next migration. Otherwise, you do it on your own, or you have to pay somebody to do it for you. So if you can keep it smaller, you will be happier for the next migration. And number 6, don't block yourself your own process. That's an easy one if you're already convinced that Odoo is the right choice. during our growth, we never had to go back and think about our process, think about our IT systems, rework processes, integrate spreadsheets. We could 100% focus on the growth, on all other things we had to look into. How do you buy a new manufacturing machine? How do you lay out your shop floor? Stuff like that. And you didn't have to all the time work on IT and figure out how to adapt your process, because everything was already there. Everything was completely scalable and ready to use from day one. So people were open-minded and free-minded for their own real-life problems, not for IT. Having an integrated e-commerce solution, which is not the greatest solution in the world, but at the same time, it can save your ass. Remember 2020, COVID hit, and after only a couple of days, our sales went to zero. I mean, since we were a food company, we could still sell stuff at our point of sale, but we could not deliver to restaurants, and people didn't want to go out and come to us. With Odoo, we had the opportunity to implement an e-shop in just over 10 days. We're ready and live with a payment solution, and we're able to deliver all the goods to all our customers. This went very smoothly. We were able to keep our budget, and at the same time, we were convinced that we now were able to grow, to start invest, to get there where we stand today. If it weren't for a quick solution in this moment, probably we would not be in the market today. This sums it up. I would like to thank you for your attention. If you have any further questions later on, please feel free to contact me, or if you need help by implementing a small solution, we at Camp to Camp have a coaching program called Smart Camp, where we focus on small companies and help them to implement their own system.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for sharing your experience. We've got here a first question from the pad. The question was, why did you choose to move from community to enterprise for the 10th version, I think?
Yes, from 10 to 14. The reason was that migrating an ERP is not an easy task, and at some point in time we grew enough that we could spend a little bit of money to get a little bit more professional, and we just realized that having the possibility to migrate databases through the Odoo migration service was just a lot easier than doing it all by hand. That's the main reason why we switched to Odoo Enterprise.
Thank you. I've got another one. I assume you are managing components for brewing with bill of material. How are you keeping track of food values like calories?
Food
values like calories.
Like calories. Actually, we don't. Yes, we do keep track on components, but this is at least today not a necessity to look into. Also, as I said, we're tracking all the lot numbers separately, not in Odoo, to make it simpler for usage. So that's also where we track all the detailed manufacturing information.
Thank you. I've got another one. How long did migration from 14 to 16 took?
Okay, if I could have worked full time on it, probably it would have been a little bit less. We started in April and we finished in October. This was mainly due to the reason that I had to migrate a couple of modules on my own, so it took a little bit of time, and there was also a lot of work to do at Camp to Camp, so this was like a spare time project to do in the evenings or on Saturdays.
Thank you. We've got the time for another one. How do you manage excess duties, and do you ship outside of Switzerland? Like B2C.
The first one.
The first one is how do you manage the excess duties? You know, the tax on the alcohol.
Yeah. So we do it more or less manually. We just have to export our production volume and need to fill in a form manually anyways, so we don't track that in Odoo. And we don't export at the moment due to especially exporting alcohol not being the easiest good to export. So we currently focus on the local market inside Switzerland.
And the other part of the question was, do you ship outside of Switzerland?
No.
No?
No.
Nice. How does bottle pieces, liter of beer, and other... I don't know who is written, but it has to finish the question. Sorry. You finished the question or not?
Otherwise,
No.
come to me after the talk and I can tell you.
It's not finished, I think. It's not a matter. We're gonna answer that just after the call. Thank you so much. It was super interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.